The topic is Visualizing Intangible Cultural Heritage, a conceptual framework on the adaptation of oral traditions into creative practices. Authored by Ms. Thilakarathne S. and co-authored by Dr. Gopura and Dr. Ayesha Wickramasinghe. So I would like to invite Ms. Thilakarathne to start your presentation. Thank you.
I'm Shashiprabha Thilakarathne. So I'm very privileged to take part in this conference because I'm also one of the graduates from Department of Integrated Design, and currently I'm doing my PhD on folklore in fashion with Dr. Sumit Gopura and Dr. Ayesha Wickramasinghe. And today I'm presenting you Visualizing Intangible Cultural Heritage, a conceptual framework on the adaptation of oral traditions into creative practices. Okay. Then first of all, we must know what is folklore. Because folklore, folklore has a very long history because it dates back to this prehistoric era. Even at that time, people used to tell stories. That means with their knowledge, experiences, and creativity, they used to tell stories. Previously also we were listening to storytelling, but my research is also something related to that. So then this folklore already transmitted from generation to generation via oral transmission. So that was very important because people used to tell stories all the time. And I think even when you go back to your childhood also, you might be familiar, your grandparents might be telling stories to you. But with the social cultural changes and with the environmental changes, technological changes, people got a bit away from this folklore. And much priority was given to this documented literature. Then this documented literature became the dominant thing. Even now, we also give more priority to the literature, right? Even in literature review, we said. So, but we should understand there is a great value in this folklore because this folklore always, sometimes people just neglect it as myths. No, they are like mythical things. No, even these myths also represent the society, what they believe, what they think about their lifestyle. Sometimes what those people, what we think as mythical things also represent a cross-section of that society. So that is very important to understand those things, and therefore this folklore can be identified as an intangible cultural heritage of a country. Then I think definitely you might be familiar with this character, Kueni. So for my research, I have already used this specific character in order to experiment this specific thing. So most of you might know her like this, as a Yakka tribal woman, a betrayer, or the queen of King Vijaya, mother of 2 children, or the curse of Kueni, very popular. And nowadays also we know Kueni because of some creative works, but I want to emphasize most of these things, people have used these characters as the inspirations, not in a very broader aspect. So in this specific research, I pay attention to this folklore, Kueni, thematic analysis, and how we can make use of that for the concept development. Okay, then what is the purpose of this study? So here we have these oral traditions, then it is somewhere, but we don't take advantage out of that. We just take the inspirations. But if we make a kind of conceptual framework, a successful conceptual framework, we can use this, that means storytelling again, in a new perspective. Because this offers a systematic approach to develop into any folklore character's core themes, and the folklore of Kueni serves as an illustrative example for this specific research, and you can later on, you can use any character in order to experiment this. Then in a social scientific background, this research we do in a social scientific background. So in a social scientific background, we pay attention to most of the time to the qualitative data more than the quantitative data. So in this this is my data collection technique. So I have paid attention to the secondary data and to the primary data. So in Sri Lanka, we have a very comprehensive literature, such as Mahavamsa, Rajavaliya, Kuweni Asna, Vijayarajakatha, Pujavaliya, like different sources to explore this story. Then later, the primary data can be collected from the that means local community, and that means from the Sri Lankans itself. But even in Sri Lanka, I have paid attention to two prospective samples. One is the Sri Lankan professionals, because there are some that means lecturers or the professional people who have done many research regarding folklore, history, archaeology, drama and filming. So I have talked to them, and especially I started this research during the COVID pandemic situation. So I contacted them through email, Zoom and telephone call conversations, so in order to follow the COVID-19 safety measures. But when I take this local community, I personally met them, because the observations and discussions also very important with the semi-structured interviews, because in order to identify the behavioral patterns, language, their rituals, and the holistic values embedded to their lifestyle. So both of these, that means the whole sample gave me a very broad idea about different folklore in Sri Lanka, about the different folklores related to the story of Kuweni. Then the identification, how I identified these participants. The digital media, the printed media, and the professional network also helped me to find the professionals. And actually the snowballing sampling technique was used, because most of these professionals also recruited me, some local community that I should go and meet. And actually this study was done in a very ethical approach. We already received the ethical clearance from the university, and we collected all this data according to an ethical approach. Then I already collected data from these two sources. The first one is secondary data, and the other one is the primary data. So I found different folklores all around Sri Lanka related to this Kuweni, and they are actually different to each other, diverse stories. Then the most difficult thing is the analysis. Although we find certain data, we should analyze them in a clear manner. So how I did the analysis? Then I found this scientific approach and social scientific approach, which was introduced by Gom and Gupta and Islam. So this is a kind of, they have already identified some themes here. So what we have to do is we can identify any story under these themes. But again, I faced a challenge. That means when we identify some significant folklores, they had very sensitive data, like very unique themes. At that time, I have to make themes by myself. So for that, I used the thematic analysis, which is very much appropriate and a powerful method to understand the experiences, thoughts, and behaviors. So there, the inductive thematic analysis and both the deductive thematic analysis were successfully used in order to find the themes. Okay, so this is the result, what we found, the thematic metaphorical approach. So there we were able to cross-analyze, like the scientific approach, the themes in scientific approach, and the social scientific approach, and the themes that I already found from the inductive thematic analysis. Then I was able, even when you look at the previous one in social scientific approach also, we selected only the specific themes for this specific folklore, so we already deducted certain themes, and we were able to make interrelationship with each other. As an example, if you take the place legends, you can see the deity is there, the queen is there, like there are different place legends in Sri Lanka, which are very much significant to specific themes. So these themes help us to identify most important features that can be identified through this character. Then this is the kind of the thematic metaphorical approach, the whole picture. That means in order to do this research, first we have to find the folklore literature, and maybe there might be no literature as well, but anyway, there is folklore, so you can take the data regarding this folklore, and next you can subject it into the scientific approach, social scientific approach, and to inductive thematic analysis. and then you can find the most suitable themes. You can find the whole themes, and thereafter you can find the most suitable themes. Then why this is important, the conclusion. Actually, the lack of oral transmission of folklore can be identified as the main reason for the destruction of this folklore, because now people don't tell stories like those days. So we have to find modern approach in order to find answers to this problem. So nowadays, people like to communicate through drama, theater, fashion. In my subject area is fashion. So we explore how we can make use of folklore and how we can make use of this fashion in order to invent something through the fashion practice. Then this TMA model of folklore analysis from this study help in extracting and developing unique folklore characteristics with their own distinctive features that can be effectively translated into creative practices. Actually, we have already extracted some key themes of TMA, and our research team have created a place legend-based textile, and we have already submitted a research article to a Q1 journal. So again, what I want to emphasize is sometimes the literature, as an example, if we take Mahavansa, there are some literature which dominate the folklore because it sometimes make them submerge. But when we are doing a research like this, we are able to analyze the literature as well as the folklore and get all the themes related to study. And you can make, that means you can make a solid background for your outcome through a conceptual framework like this. These are the list of references, and thank you very much.